see depreciation. But that's about the equity space. Let's go across to Manisha for all things commodities.
Thank you so much for that, Mangalam. And let's welcome on board Jonathan Barratt, who's CIO of Probis Securities. Jonathan, hi, welcome to CNBC. And how are you looking at the gold prices now? Because there is a bit of a mystery on who's buying in what quantity for the gold prices to be where they are.
Absolutely, Manisha. Good afternoon and good to be with you. Look, it is a bit of a mystery as to who's buying. We can't say it's just generally the weaker US dollar or there are other macros, but we get a sense that we feel that the main buyers are sort of central banks are coming to the fray, or those economies which have been sanctioned by the US, where they actually need some currency because they can't use their US dollars. So we think the main buyers are those countries, and that they just want to increase their reserves of gold, and that just is propelling the price.
So, Jonathan, how much would you think that the central banks have bought for the month of March? I mean, we have the Feb figures, and that has been factored in. Much of the fundamentals and the forward-looking situations or sentiments has been factored in as well. But this $50 of a up move every single day and 8 straight days of record highs, how would you look at that?
Well, I think it's quite interesting because when you look at the central banks that are involved, we know that China's involved, we know that Russia's involved. There are also some large Russian companies also involved. I think there's a general concern that if things start to escalate, whether it's in the Ukraine, and if that starts to escalate with Russia, more sanctions will come in. And as a result of that, then they need this hard currency. So you are right. We're seeing a lot of gains. Can it continue, I think, is the key. But I guess if you've got a lot of funds there trying to buy, chasing what's not there, the prices can continue to trade higher.
Yes, 2,300 was a target for the year end, and we've seen that happen in the first quarter, the first 4 months of this year itself. Where do you see? I know it's overbought, the momentum still is on the higher side, but how much higher from here?
Look, I think that's a good question. I think, as we know, 3,000 is a big level. I don't think we ever really anticipated to get to there. But I do look at gold, but also look at silver as well, because silver really hasn't moved as much. We're about $25 off record highs. So if the appetite for purchases of gold for those companies and central banks changes to silver, then we could see quite a rally in silver as well. But yes, I think very hard to say, but in a market that goes to record highs, you can only take profit, but I certainly wouldn't go short.
All right. I know last year the prices also saw levels of 1,800 or thereabouts. Where would you say a strong support coming in now?
Oh, look, it has to be just the previous highs we've had. Very hard to say. We know 2,500, 2,250, 2,000. They're all levels which we've seen and we've looked at before so many times. What that resistance now becomes support. And whilst that, look, in a market that is long and getting longer, the more we go to records high means the correction is going to be just as ferocious. We can have limit up days and then we can have limit down days as well. So expect the volatility to be there, but the buyers, if they're still there, it'll keep going higher.
You just mentioned that silver is another one to watch out for. So with gold having done what it is done, any new money do you see coming in for silver now?
Well, look, I'd expect so. I mean, I think this is one of the interesting things about the movement for gold, that we're seeing record highs. And the record high for silver is up around that $50 an ounce. And we're still trading around 25. We had a very large chart point at about 25.50. When you look at that silver, it has gone past that. So we are in breakout territory for silver. And if it gets a little bit of that momentum sort of from gold, then the chances are that silver should have a good run from here. Let's hope so, because it's got a long way to go before it gets to a record high.
Jonathan, also, how much of this would you call froth? Or, are you concerned with these dizzying heights in prices of gold especially?
Well, look, I think we are all concerned because the price has been so volatile and directional. We do think it is obviously a market player. Do I get concerned? Well, if I was a producer, I think I'd probably open my hedge book at this level because in my mind, you're going to be securing some very good returns that you have never seen. So as a producer, open a hedge book, because I think that'll lock into some really good prices for them. Because as we know, there's a lot of volatility there. Can it keep going? I don't know. But I would certainly think that at some stage it will have a very savage correction.
All right. Also, what would you suggest the investors from here on? Should new money come in, even if it is for a longish investment period of 3 to 5 years? Are these good levels to go long in gold?
Look, I think given the macros that we're currently seeing at the moment, we're shying away from inflation. I think I would be keeping my powder a little bit dry, and looking for a market that can consolidate its gains, and that can consolidate its gains so then it can start to move on from a good footing. If we look at the macros, sort of like 2 to 3 months ago, we're coming off inflation. The US dollar is relatively steady. They're not the real reasons to actually say we should be buying it. So this is where we think it's market-induced, this move. So new money, if I were to get into the markets, I would be looking at silver rather over gold. In gold, I'd probably be saying, look, I'm quite happy to take some profit here.
Okay.
Okay, all right, Jonathan, as well as Manisha, thank you very much for joining in and talking about the one topic which is definitely hot and continues to get hotter. That's gold and precious metals. We need to, on that note, wrap up on Halftime Report, but Business Lunch will take all the action forward. Stay tuned.